Bienvenue, welcome, my name is Carola, and in today's video I want to talk to you about the hardest challenge that I had to face in 6 years living in Paris. Merci beaucoup. I know that in comparison with most people this is really something that's not that big a deal, but for me it was. During the first lockdown, I lived in this cute little studio in the 9th, and then my landlord decided to sell this perfect apartment. I had 6 months to find something new, but because it had been so difficult the first 2 times to find an apartment, I really panicked and I started to look right away. I also thought that because I had lived in the 9th and the 17th, it would be fun to try a new arrondissement, but it still had to be very close to work. So I moved from 5 kilometers to my office into a place that is 3 kilometers into my office in case there are strikes, because yes, in Paris you always have to plan for strikes and you always have to have a different solution, and my solution was always, yeah, I can walk to work. I walked into this amazing house in the 8th, and you open the doors and there's this little courtyard, and we went upstairs and it just looked amazing. It was really light, there were windows everywhere, and it was on the last floor, so it had kind of a good view, and it was 4 little chambres de bonne put together into a really nice apartment. Well, and there was an elevator in the building, but it would stop on the 5th floor. And I actually couldn't use it because it would stop on the other side of the apartment. So it would stop in a way that you could only use it to go into the apartment on the 5th floor, but there was no corridor up. So I just had the stairs. So I looked at this apartment and I had that stress of, it's really hard to find a place in Paris. So I told her right away, yeah, I'm interested. And she actually said, well, how about we make the contract right away? I was impressed. I thought, well, she would look at all the people, because there were people lining up again. But by that time, I had lived in Paris for over 2 years, so I had my full dossier. I had 2 tax returns, and I had a good job. In Frankfurt, I was always used to being the ideal candidate. And in Paris, that hadn't happened. I'm not French. I, at first, didn't have the documents. So being the chosen one made me feel really happy. And it was a lovely place. I was actually happy because when I lived on the 4th floor in the first apartment, I had lost 8 kilos just by walking. And then in the second apartment with the lockdown and the elevator and, well, just not that much movement, I had gained all those kilos back. So I was looking forward to having a reason to walk. And then it turned into a nightmare. So I had gone up the stairs, looked at the place, signed the contract. I had signed the contract before ever going down the stairs, and I hadn't realized how small they were if you have to go down, and how steep they were. And so for the next 6 months, I always challenged myself, do I really have to go down today? Because I was working from home, so I didn't really need that. And I had no reason to go down these stairs every day. And so sometimes I would buy stuff and then stay up in my place for a week, not seeing anybody, except for people at work via video. And I got really depressed. I mean, I wasn't diagnosed with the depression. I didn't talk to any doctor, but I felt really low-spirited. I remember telling her that actually the stairs, it's a good thing because I wanted to do more sports, and instead it turned into this challenge of how much I don't move. And then over Christmas I was home with my family, and I tore my back out. Yeah, I got a back issue, and so I was lying on the couch for 2 days. I couldn't move my back, and then suddenly it got a little bit better. And but walking upstairs was really painful, and I dreaded going home and having to walk up these stairs. And so this really cool apartment became the apartment from hell, just because of the stairs. And I felt really lonely, which is funny because I actually became acquainted with the people from the 4th floor and with the au pair girl from the 2nd floor, who also had her apartment next to mine, and with a guy from the ground floor. Every time he saw me, he was really happy and started a conversation about German philosophers. I have no clue about German philosophers. For being in that apartment, it was actually really good, because I don't think that usually if you move into a new place, you would become acquainted with all your neighbors. But because it was lockdown, overall, those 6 months there were just, even though that objectively there was nothing too bad, and I'm pretty sure that most people have worse situations to deal with in Paris. For me, I was just getting frustrated. I couldn't imagine staying there for much longer. And so then I called the concierge of the apartment where I used to live before, and I asked if there were any available apartments in that house. And she said, "Well, you're in luck. Someone just told me this morning that there is a free apartment." And then she arranged for me to have a look at it and then meet the owner. So I got myself out of the nightmare. I was feeling so low and so lonely, and it wasn't something objectively happening, it was just a feeling, and I couldn't get myself to be motivated. It was just my hardest challenge, and somehow I got myself out of it by moving away, just because of a stupid staircase. The worst thing is, I wanted the staircase. I wanted to get thinner by just casually walking up to my apartment and down. But at that point, it just turned into this nightmare. Imagine if you forget something up there. So that was my hardest challenge in Paris so far. I hope that whenever you're challenged with a situation where you realize that for your own comfort you have to get out, I hope that you'll find a way out, just as I did. See you next time. Bye.